Welcome back, everybody, to another Warcast. It's been a little while, but we return. Myself, Alex the Rambler, and Warrior of Sparta. And it's been a couple of months. It's been a couple of slow months, really. There's not been any major news or anything about any of the games or stuff that we're interested in, is there? Nothing big, major, cataclysmic within the communities occurring.
Hearts of Iron 4 have just released a new Planes pack.
Ah, there we go. Our top leading news. Planes pack. Hearts of Iron 4.
Yep.
Anything else happen?
Well,
maybe.
Look at the background. I think the background says a lot, doesn't it? In the situation.
Oh yeah, that we've set up for here. So yeah,
I don't remember this game. What is it?
Actually, you don't need to remember it because it's dead. Total War 3 Kingdoms.
Yeah, that's true.
You're gone. Well,
dead,
we say it's dead, but it's alive because they're making a brand new one, which we don't know if it's 3 Kingdoms 2 or if it's a saga or if they're bringing back standalone expansions, which we thought they got rid of because they now have the saga brand, and it's all very confusing. But yeah, so they've cancelled all future plans, support any further DLCs for Total War 3 Kingdoms. Creative Assembly, of course, this is. But they have announced that they're going to be they're doing it so they can focus on making a new Total War 3 a new Total War game based in the 3 Kingdoms universe, because we're going Marvel about it now, clearly.
Or Warhammer.
Yeah.
There's still 8,500 people playing it at the moment.
But
that's pretty good, isn't it?
I would have thought so. I mean, how does that compare to, say, other Total Wars?
Let me look at the remastered one. Let's see how many people are playing that at the moment. Rome Remastered. 2,000.
How about the Shogun 2? How many people are still playing Shogun 2? The supposed favoured child of the community.
The Golden Child has 3,200.
Right.
This is at 5 p.m. British time, by the way.
Rome 2.
Rome 2.
Rome 2. That's probably got, I reckon, about 10,000.
Yeah, it's still.
Oh no, sorry, less than 6,000. So 3 Kingdoms has more than Rome 2 at the moment.
Just at this time right now, not its like peak today or anything like that. Just.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, just at this particular time. I don't know how to see the 24-hour peak. Is it used? No, it just says at the moment. At the moment, there's more people in game in 3 Kingdoms than there is in Rome 2. What's another historical title that's popular? Attila. Attila?
Well, there's quite a keen modding.
That's true, but that doesn't change the fact that there's less than 2,500 people playing it. So 3 Kingdoms is by far the most popular historical title.
It's the most played historical title right now when we're recording this Warcast. Which the others might have higher peaks, but it's still performing nearly better than a good 3 or 4 of the others combined.
I'm surprised at Rome Remastered.
Warhammer 2 is almost 22,000. So there you go. That's that.
Yeah.
But when people say, like, what about historical? Well, they're following the numbers, I guess, to a certain extent.
I think the big issue that a lot of people have brought up is that, you know, they're making a new game because they feel like their DLC isn't selling well for 3 Kingdoms, or hasn't sold well, and that's they tie their patches to DLC. So I guess that's why they're going to cancel all support, because they realize they can't make money out of producing more DLC for 3 Kingdoms. They could make more money if they made just a brand new game, similar to how Napoleon tightened up and focused a lot of the issues that Empire had. I think that's what they're trying to achieve with a 3K universe game.
They didn't finish 3K off, did they?
No, they didn't even do a 3K start, did they?
Well,
between Shu, Wei, and Wu.
A lot of
the
people
main
say
one, which is
there is no start date. But I think the biggest issue, people say, okay, they're doing it because their DLC didn't sell well, but they did very little to help that. Their first DLC, aside from Blood Pack, was 8 Princes, which I said this at the time, and I just still do not understand why they, especially because they had a lot of new players that had never really been interested or come and looked at or researched Chinese history before. They had a lot of new players getting their mind around this big, colourful cast of characters in the base game, And then what do they do as the first DLC? Rather than build on those existing characters, like they have done with Fates Divided, World Betrayed, they just went, forget that cast of 30-odd characters that we made you care about and invest in. Here's a brand new cast of characters that are like 100 years. So for me, the biggest struggle trying to do like Let's Plays and stuff after with that first 8 Princes DLC was like, what just happened? Like, why not build on what you already had? Especially because now looking back, we've seen that they decided that future DLCs would go and focus on, well, Fates Divided was Cao Cao and Yuan Shao and focusing on all those original cast of characters again. And the same with The World Betrayed. And it was just following the story and the narrative of building up to what should have been then the big finale of the Three Kingdoms. And then we never even got there. Plus, we never even had the like a northern campaign, which a lot of people were looking forward to, or a Korean expansion. And it took a long time for them to bring out the Nanman DLC, which was all the tribal characters and clans and factions in the sort of southwest of the map, which surely that would have been a better sort of opening DLC, or at least one of the earlier ones, rather than much later on that it was. And I think, yes, okay, I can understand from a business perspective, a new game is going to sell better than their DLC, but they've done pretty much nothing to help that with the structure and their plan of the DLC they have for Three Kingdoms. They basically killed it before they even started with that, because they just sort of went, here's a timeline of DLC that would make the most sense, and then threw it out in a just a mess on the wall, basically. It's like, oh yeah, 8 Princes first, the one that makes the least amount of sense, that connects to none of these existing characters that we've spent years developing for this brand new game. It just baffles me. Like, I can understand them saying, hey, we did say the roadmap was to have a northern expansion, a Korean expansion, but we've had to double down and change route with that. We're not going to be able to bring those out. But such a confusing plan and structure of their DLC that they went with, they didn't help themselves at all. And almost their, I mean, I don't know, they're probably not surprised that it didn't sell well. I don't know, maybe they were genuinely taken aback by it, but I don't think they really planned it out in an effective way to maximize continued sales and development over DLC, which is just shocking when their big comparison, their golden child that is just breaking every other record in terms of sales and development is Warhammer, and they know how to keep that series going. Warhammer 2's had DLC for 4 years now, and they've kept on improving and bringing new players to the game and constantly improving it as they go through. And I wasn't expecting exactly the same treatment for 3K, but seeing as they had the template that worked so well for Warhammer, I would have assumed that they would have gone, we'll do a similar process for Three Kingdoms.
Logic doesn't always happen.
Was there a video
Logic,
to March? I think it was March 2020. There's a video saying we're looking to expand in the north, wasn't it? They're going to be doing all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, their last kind of what the teams are doing, yeah.
Yeah. And then they just go, nope, that's it. Apparently, there's some things in there. I mean, I've never played 3K, but apparently there's things in there which are still not fixed in the game, which the patches. I don't know if it's the case.
How many hours do I have in Three Kingdoms?
I have nothing. Don't even own it.
I would look.
I have
disrupt the recording.
I have 18 hours.
I think I've got
That's it.
I've got a good few hundred. But I've not done I've not done a Let's Play since.
Surely successful, wasn't it? You said for a long time.
Well, I mean, the first I did a Sun Tzu, not Sun Tzu, a Sun Jian campaign right at the start, and followed up that with a Lu Bu one. Those did really well. The Yellow Turbans really struggled, and 8 Princes was the worst Let's Play I've ever had for a Total War series.
Did you finish it? Did you finish that one?
8 Princes, yeah. I struggled, and I had and that was with a lot of other things going on for me personally as well. That came at like the worst time in my life.
Yeah.
And I still, I still finished it because that's what I do. But
Good,
I didn't change my approach to how I would cover it, but it just, the community, as I did, I struggled to find any connection with Eight Princes because it was just such a disconnected DLC to the base game.
I struggle to find any connection to the game at all. Unfortunately, it's not.
I wanted desperately.
Maybe I need to play it.
I mean, I desperately wanted to try and find a connection to the characters because before Warhammer came out, I had no connection to any of those characters. But now it's my favorite Total War game, and I love finding new characters. And I thought perhaps this is CA's way of doing it with a historical. But I did one final campaign off that Eight Princes one, like full one, which was a bandit campaign because they're meant to have a very different play style, and I thought, you know what, that could be quite different from what I played before. But yeah, I mean, the one of the core issues I had with Three Kingdoms is that no matter how you play, ultimately it only ever ends one way, which is the takedown of the other two kingdoms. And when they've had quite varied and different victory objectives with Warhammer, it just felt a bit, oh, we're doing this again. Okay, I might as well just turn off now because I know what's going to happen. I'm going to kill all the other people and one kingdom. But yeah, the big issue that people have raised is that they're dropping support. They're no more DLC, but there's still a lot of turn one bugs and issues that occur when you start a new campaign, and obviously other bugs and issues that crop up across the rest of your playthrough. I mean, I don't think throughout any of my Let's Plays I encountered any like proper game breaking issues that meant I couldn't continue. I mean, I have the odd crash now and then, and there were probably some bugs where tooltips weren't firing properly, or events bugging out, or characters missing and things like that. But I'm not really that invested in that community, but there is a huge outcry from the community going, it's just not in a finished state in terms of just patching, and that each time they've released DLC, they've added in almost more problems than they fixed.
Right. What team works on Three Kingdoms? Where did they come from?
Is it what's the team?
I think they were a brand new team. Well, in the video,
okay.
Was it?
Isn't Jack? Isn't Jack's team?
Jack Lusted was heading up, and he'd previously done Thrones. I don't know if he was.
Okay.
I don't know if he was the game lead all the way through, or whether he came in halfway through, or just came in to do DLC, or at some point, or maybe he wasn't connected to it, but they just had him talk about it in that shutting down video.
He doesn't seem to have much luck, Jack doesn't. I mean, I met Jack, and he's got a really great knowledge of history, and he's an
incredibly passionate developer.
Yeah, he is. And then Thrones seemed to
Well, they dropped that, didn't they? They did a couple of patches for that.
Yeah, and he was on Thrones, and
I mean,
it's a shame.
Yeah. So
there's 408 people playing Thrones right now.
Oh my god. I'm surprised. I'm really taken aback by Rome Remastered. I thought that would have lasted longer, but I think that's nosedived with the AI not being decent,
it's really. not being changed from the original, and I think a lot of people.
We haven't done a podcast since Rome Remastered came out. So should we talk a bit about that when we move on from Three Kingdoms? Because that's. Yes. I'm sure I've got more probably to say about that than Three Kingdoms. I personally never really got hugely into Three Kingdoms. I grew up really getting into the Dynasty Warriors series of games. I just enjoyed the hack and slash. I found it quite relaxing. Just murdering hundreds of people. Anyway,
how do you relax in the evenings? Well,
that's why he's playing Rise now.
Yeah, but then you have the. So I already knew all of the characters. So I thought it'd be a strategy game that I would get really into, but I just found the campaign map so jarring. I just didn't really get on. I just found it very confusing to get into. I don't know if you guys found that, but I just found the map too.
I don't think I've ever been to like a Total War preview event where you first get hands-on, or the first time you get hands-on with the campaign, and ever actually really enjoyed the experience, because half the time I'm going, where is everything? How do I do this? And often now with the way early access and stuff's done, the first time I get hands on with that is when I'm doing part 1 of my Let's Play, which is just like the worst experience in the world, because I'm desperately trying to make something that's entertaining and also work out what the hell is going on, how I do certain things. And yeah, as you say, the campaign experience, while there is a lot of depth and new features there, it's overwhelming, and it doesn't really easily, I don't think, show you how to start in any particular mechanic. It just goes, they're all here. And you're like, cool, what, right? I mean, they've got the F1 button, which now does a tooltip help thing, which is sometimes useful, but sometimes it literally goes, this is the diplomacy menu. And you're like, oh, really? Is it? Is it?
Whereas I think like something when Crusader Kings 3 was released, the amount of like sub-menus and tooltips and explanations that they would give you were very helpful.
Yeah. The tooltips in CK3 are just...
Well, what was 3K for? Was it for the Chinese market? Was that what it was designed for? To bring those players in as a new...
Well, I guess it was probably to branch European and Chinese. It was to open up Total War games to the Chinese market with a game that would really appeal to the native audience, but also for Western players to be like, hey, let's look at this really colourful, rich tapestry of history, this romanticized, over-the-top dramatization of what happened, because there's all these cool things going on. And on that description, to me, that kind of sounds like, oh, that sounds like a cool Total War. It just didn't... I think you either connected with 3K or you didn't. I don't think there was much middle ground to it, really. And none of the deal, and with the way they did the DLCs, none of that helped draw in those initial kind of bounce off players that tried playing it and thought, I'll come back a bit later, because none of the DLC really made much sense, because unless you really got the Romance of the Three Kingdoms or knew the history, you'd be like, what does this got to do with this story?
Well, I said to you, I didn't say it, so I put it in the tweet, so that it was never really clear, was it? The 3K vision was never clear. Was it fantasy? Was it historical? A mixture of both? A bit like Troy. Troy never really committed to what it was, really, and it ended up a mess. It lost its identity.
Yeah. See how many people are playing Troy?
God, one.
Oh, I can't even look. No, it's on Epic.
It's on Epic, yeah.
That's
actually, I wonder if we've. I mean, okay, it's not quite yet August, but is the plan still for them to release Troy on Steam once the exclusivity goes? Are they going to bother? All those people clamoring for that sweet Troy Steam action now. Does anyone care about Troy now?
Is there multiplayer for Troy yet?
I think they finally added it in, yeah. But I remember we did this in a previous Warcast. They released the multiplayer beta, and like an hour later had to take it down because it was broken on launch. I think it's now out.
Fuck me! Oh, jeez.
Hang on, I'll have to get on a plane and probably quarantine first. But
oh, it was still in beta in February.
Yeah, I don't know what I've not played Troy since I gave up on both my Achilles and Hector series. And you
did give up in the end.
That's the first yeah, look, that's what Troy did to me. It broke my kind of golden rule that I finish every single one. The Hector one, I mean, I was about to win. I just basically said I can't be bothered to spend the next 30 turns clicking auto resolve until I hit it. And Achilles, I would have eventually got there. It was a bit more of a slog, but I was like, I don't want to spend 20 turns sailing across the Aegean, and that's all I've got to do, and fend and swat off trade deals every turn from the AI that goes, I want your bronze. No, get your own.
I don't know if, because obviously we've had really 3K, and between that we've had the Warhammer, franchise. I don't know if it's backfired on CA a bit. That they've lost some player base in the fact that there's ultimately a massive divide now that's sort of developed in the community between historical.
I think that divide is purely CA created, to be honest.
Yeah, I do. I think I don't know if it's backfired a bit. This.
Yeah. Well, as you say, like Three Kingdoms was from CA, marketed as their next historical Total War, but it was based on the romance of the Three Kingdoms, which readily became apparent that it was a fantasy history. Yes, there was a records mode, but it was very quickly sort of slapped in there, and nothing's ever been done to improve that or take that further. So they decided they went for a hybrid game because perhaps, as I say, they looked at Warhammer's success and went, oh, let's try and draw some of them in there. It doesn't work, CA, because they did the same thing with Troy, with the whole truth behind the myth. It doesn't please historical fans. It doesn't please fantasy fans that wanted full mythological creatures. Stop doing... Creative Assembly, you've got enough teams. You keep telling us you're employing more people. You're now the UK's largest game studio. You keep saying you've got plenty of teams and not to worry because resources aren't being taken from different teams. Yeah, they're now the UK's largest game developer.
Even larger than Rockstar.
Yep.
Well, Rockstar have got loads of... Rockstar have got Rockstar North, Rockstar...
In the UK.
Yeah, I mean...
If you put all of Rockstar together... then they'll be bigger globally. But apparently in the UK, so now the UK's largest game developer.
So that leaves us then really with the last, major, forget Saga, major historical title being Attila.
Yes, 2015.
Because you can forget Thrones, obviously that's a Saga.
6 years ago.
So that's the problem right there as well.
Yeah.
And I don't know if having as many teams as you've got is a good thing in a way, because maybe it's losing focus.
I know you. Can you do the quote for us? I know you want to do it.
What's that?
The Bilbo quote. Too much butter.
Oh, spread over. Yeah, you're better at that one than me. Yeah. I'm more than just tea, thank you.
But they've spread too much, too thinly.
Well,
and it's not pleasing anyone, really.
I was going to make the comparison to Ubisoft when it ended up that they were releasing Assassin's Creed every year, and it ended up a mess with that. It's too much was pushed out, too much was being rushed, and I'm not saying it's going to be that they're rushing things, but there's not enough focus. I feel with so many teams being split up, and it's not you haven't got that clear vision. I feel now. I think it's gone a bit.
I think it's the same with about to shoot myself in the foot here, but the Paradox is also going down that route of releasing broken DLC and just mediocre titles. Like, admittedly, I did a brand deal for Empire of Sin, and I haven't played it since. And that was one that was like published by them, but I imagine they got some funding from they would have funded Romero Games a little bit for that. But now there's like 400 people playing Empire of Sin less than a year after release. Europa Universalis 4's most recent DLC was utterly broken on launch, I think, or there was just so many exploits and bugs that it was now the least. I think it's the worst reviewed product on Steam.
Yeah, GG guys. Takes some doing, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I wonder how did they like put that out the door and like not look at it? It's like did they just do it blind and not go like? It just seems like how bad it is. It's just.
It has 8% positive reviews, and they've also canned development pretty much for Imperator.
Yeah.
So that was 2 years after release, but I think they never got their player base back after it again. I enjoyed it in the initial release for a good 20 hours, but after that I didn't want to pick it up again.
Well, I had the same problem that you said you did with 3K with Imperator. I didn't know where to start with that one.
Yeah.
Because I feel like and there's the tooltips I didn't find were that intuitive, at least at launch. I just felt I was constantly going over and go like, how do I do this? There's nothing that tells me. It just drops you in, and there are, I mean, compared to a Total War game, there are, nearly 1 million more menus and buttons to click in Imperator. And it's just like, where do I want to love this game? Because I should do. It's Rome. It's a grand strategy from Paradox. But it was so shallow at launch. It had like barely any content, and then they've spent ages building in extra content and doing the big 2.0 release. And that came along with some DLC, didn't it? And then, I mean, at least compared to 3K, they kind of did try and wrap things up in a big 2.0 finale. Yeah. Whereas, you just dropped it.
And credit's due. The CK3 team, I think, did a great job on launch. I think that was a pretty solid release.
I think the best.
And and I think that shows where there's still like almost 13,000 people playing it at the moment. I know I'm talking about numbers here a lot, but it's just I might as well.
Well, it's good to compare. It's all we've got to compare, really, isn't it? We can't see any other back-end analytics.
But Paradox, Creative Assembly is purely owned by Sega, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And now Paradox is also a public company. Like, so they have to keep making sure that they get their earning targets and stuff to report to their shareholders and stuff. So that can change a company's focus quite a lot when they have to worry about shareholders, etc., etc.
I mean, it wasn't been easy the last 12 months working at home during the pandemic. That would have
no, of course.
So, I mean, I would have said, let's pause. Let's just take a step back. Let's just regroup. But obviously, they've got the pressures of as you say, of a corporation. It needs to be funding, needs to be making sure the stakeholders are happy and all that sort of stuff. So it's a difficult situation, but I just feel there's too much going on. I mean, they've even got an FPS coming out, haven't they? CA or something, isn't it?
It's been in development for a long time now. I think probably since probably their last actual historical game they released. I think maybe it was around about that time they announced they were working on their own IP.
After Alien Isolation.
It's their own IP first person shooter that they're developing. It's still in development. I wonder if perhaps it's had a longer development, because since they announced it to now, we've had the rise of the battle royale, scene for first person shooters, and because I back when they announced it, zombie survival first person shooters were like the popular thing, right? And now it's shifted to battle royale, and I would say that's still fairly popular. There's still obviously Warzone and Fortnite and PUBG.
Oh boy.
And then you've got other things like Valorant and Overwatch and stuff like that still going on. So there's still obviously room for that. Yeah, Apex. Yeah. But yeah, it does. The lack of a dedicated historical Total War game is so apparent now in CA's portfolio.
Do you think people have left? Do you think people in the community have left? I think they've done.
Yeah, because you say, like, who is 3K for veteran fans? Because if they're love of history and don't want OP generals, they'll play records. But obviously, it's a brand new period that they've never covered before. It's probably a bit of a stretch for some that aren't invested in the characters. And then Troy afterwards didn't do either the historical or the fantasy. It just sat plainly in the middle, and they quite readily refused to kind of change that. They said, no, we're focusing on this truth behind the myth. We're not. But then that just didn't please anyone, because your truth behind the myth meant you had a single entity OP Cyclops unit or guy dressed up with a skull on his head, which is, I can see where you're going with it and trying to do it, but we don't want OP single entity generals like that in a historical game. So it's not a historical game, it's a mythological game. No, it's not a fantasy game, because here's the history. It just doesn't. And because it was built on the Warhammer engine, even if they try and avoid it, you're still going to have those kind of fantasy tropes that are inherently part of that engine, that system, with hero abilities and stuff. I mean, when they do hopefully another historical game, the only general abilities I want to see are rally and inspire, like we had in, say, Empire and Napoleon, or Attila, or you had Second Wind,
and Rome,
and Rome. I mean, and that stuff. Yeah. Yes, yes, you could say Second Wind, like having troops recover their fatigue on you just, shouting a rallying cry or something. But it's not crazy over the top fantasy, is it? It's still, there's a chance that in the heat of battle, a rallying cry or rallying speech from your general might just give your men a boost of adrenaline that would temporarily, seemingly increase their fatigue. They'd suddenly fight a bit more effectively for a little bit longer before tiring out.
There is something coming, isn't there? There is another historical we don't even know about.
There's been a historical. Well, the moment they released 3K, I think before they released 3K, there was another team already tracked in, starting pre-production on what would be the next historical.
I think at this point, I don't know if at this point did they say. I'm sure I'm saying, I don't know if I've said this before, but the next one is the big one, not 3K. 3K wasn't the big one.
Yeah, there's been this kind of subtle sort of whisperings of something that really, if 3K was an evolutionary Total War game, the next one is meant to be this big revolutionary one that is. Some people always equate it to, it's going to be on a brand new engine, but the way CA do their engines, they're constantly upgrading them and improving them subtly and modularly. So, but it seems like if the whispers are true and if that's what they've kept their plans to, the next one should be a return to greatness. As you can see, the confidence in that is faltering in my voice.
Oh, you know, it's yeah.
we've not had an example of that since 2015.
No, I mean the big change.
Attila isn't exactly released particularly, and still isn't very well optimized, despite being built for future systems.
Yeah, those features.
I'm going to bring that up every single time Attila is mentioned.
Yeah.
Oh, don't worry about the performance on your 2015 PCs. In the future, it's going to run beautifully.
My 3090 still coughs.
BS.
Does it?
Yeah.
Well, and the fact is even more BS is that they fixed it with Thrones, because Thrones is built on Attila's engine, and they optimized it. They put in the work, they put in the patch or whatever they need to do to fix the game code. Okay, maybe slide out some modular parts of it, and they got it working.
Where does C8 go then as well? You think about this, Warhammer 3 is the last of the trilogy, so they have a massive new batch of fantasy fans that have come in. No doubt Warhammer has brought in a massive influx of new players to the communities, but even brought in new YouTube channels. YouTube channels have grown since the success of Warhammer. And so you've got that player base, you've got that community. You finish on Warhammer 3. What do you do then? Because you've got a whole big community of fantasy fan there. Nothing left, nothing to do. They'll have to do something else then, won't they, for them? They won't lose them.
Then I doubt this is anywhere near the end of the Games Workshop Creative Assembly partnership. They know it's a cash cow for both of them. Or do you do any
fantasy IP?
I do Age of Sigmar.
Yep. I wouldn't put it past them trying 40k.
Well, yeah. Or the thing is, like with Warhammer 3, there's going to be that. I've forgotten which animated program it's in, but it's like. Is that Family Guy or something?
Let me milk you, did you just say?
Yeah.
That only just came through, so I was like a little bit like,
Yeah, let me milk you. So they're going to do it with Warhammer 3. Like they'll have lots of DLC for it.
Sounds like Family Guy, to be fair.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Warhammer 1 to 2 was a year and a bit, and then it's been 4 years between Warhammer 2 and 3. I think it's pretty much a guarantee that Warhammer 3 is going to have probably around about at least 2 years of post-launch support and DLC. And then what do they build into afterwards? Either, as you say, they start an Age of Sigmar trilogy, or they do another Warhammer IP, 40k potentially, or they've got the option to go into another fancy IP, because now surely they've got the best portfolio, the best CV in the world to go to any other fancy IP and go, see what we did with Warhammer.
Lord
do that for you.
Of the Rings.
Said 1 million Total War fans in unison.
But I don't know. It just feels, for me as well, it's even just having this conversation today, it seems more apparent as you talk that the historical community have really been
abandoned.
Left. Yeah, they really have, and I feel that because obviously I started my YouTube channel on Rome 2. It was based on historical, and you do feel like, well, you got really nothing. I mean, Rome Remastered is the last kind of push we've had, but that's nothing really. We haven't had anything new for ages, and you feel like you've been left behind a bit. You really are.
There's nothing. There's nothing.
I don't know
newer
why.
To play. I mean, I've gone back. I'm doing a Western Roman Empire Let's Play in Attila. I'm doing a Napoleon Let's Play. I'm doing a Rome Remastered stuff. I've gone back because there's nothing forward. And whatever they do next, if they call it a historical Total War, it has to be a historical Total War, not a hybrid, not a truth behind the myth. It has to be a cold, hardcore classic with all the best features of the newer games, the improved diplomacy, the economic system, the improved sieges. Forget about Warhammer. Hopefully, 3s are actually going to be improved. They've subtly added in improvements across a lot of their feature sets, and it's just, please now do a historical that has a General's Bodyguard again. Give me a bloody General's Bodyguard again. Give me Man of the Hour events, and give me armies that don't require a general in them to move them. That last one's probably pushing it a bit too far, because they've done it since Rome 2 with historicals.
I think I still think Medieval 3 is next, but that's my on the table.
Med 3 or Empire 2. If they do anything but those two, I will eat a sock on a Warcast.
Well, what else can they do that is not absolutely brand new?
That's
I think
big and
finished business. Yeah.
They've got to come back
really
with a classic, with one that's just going to make sense for it being a historical. When people look at it,
Here
the title,
go. This is your weight.
With either Empire 2 or Medieval 3, you would hope that there's no way they can fantasy it up.
No, actually, someone said this morning, one of my comments, actually, God, they'll do a Medieval 3, make it King Arthur, and have a fantasy element to that.
Romance of the 100 Years' War. No, stop it.
If they're going to do saga titles, though, 100 Years' War would be a pretty good setting. Yeah. If it's fully historical, like this.
I mean, Thrones was fully historical.
Right? Yes.
At least
Troy felt like an odd choice.
Troy was. It's like I'd have gone for Alexander more than, and then just done a massive, really great expanse of that. I mean, I know we've got the Alexander DLC on Rome, but really up to date.
Did you guys play the Alexander DLC?
I tried, but I don't like it.
Because I'm streaming that as my only Rome Remastered thing at the moment, and I'm not enjoying it. It's frustrating. It's not a challenge. It's frustrating.
No. Well, the way it plays,
and it's not fun.
Move.
I'm meant to be streaming it this Friday, and I'm so close to going. You know what? I'm not gonna. No, because I'm not enjoying it. It's not fun. You've got the time limit, and there's just so
100.
many armies to try and deal with, but there's no give, and the pressure is just on top of you the whole time. And it's not fun. It's not a challenge. It's frustration.
Are you finding you can't garrison your new captured cities because you can't?
I can't capture any cities, mate. I can't make any progress forward. Like there's 20 Persian armies to one Alexander that I managed to get across before they sunk my fleet. I know my armies break them, but
if it's not bringing you joy, just move on.
I just thought though that from what I heard though, because I never played the Alexander DLC expansion when it originally came out for Rome 1, all the stuff I always heard was, oh yeah, the Alexander DLC, Brian Blessed, great challenging campaign. I always heard this great, challenging, different experience. I was like, oh yeah, I'll give that a go. That's something different. Who had fun playing this?
Or maybe Shot and Pike then. I'd like to use Shot and Pike, but no one ever says about
30 Years War.
Shot and
that
Pike.
Comes up a lot.
What? Sorry?
30 Years War comes up a lot when...
Yeah, or English Civil War.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a good War of the Roses.
Yeah.
Just don't have Richard Duke of York with 10 different powers and abilities.
You've got two there. You've got the 100 Years' War. You've got the War of the Roses. That's two massive deciding elements of history in medieval.
They're very kind of like England and centric.
Anglo-focused, People don't
like
it when I mention...
So the Americans are going to be like... sorry if you're American, but...
Imagine the American Civil War.
People hate it when I say Empire 2, they could call it Victoria. And everyone jumps on me and goes, oh, but we don't just want to be about the British Empire. I'm not saying it's just going to be the British Empire. I'm just saying that era was well defining.
Say that again.
The Victorian era.
Yeah. It's not the Victorian era.
What you say about this? What you say? Just say the argument again, just so you.
When I bring up that instead of it being called Empire 2, they might just call it Victoria Total War or Total War Victoria because
the Empire started in the Georgian period.
It's set within the Victorian era, which was a period of great change and development globally, not just for the British Empire, but people seem to think when I say Total War Victoria, all it would be is the British Empire. That would just be a part of it.
Was the start of Empire. You're still talking the reign of George III, so I don't know where to get the Empire Victoria. Because that was because we're talking when it was.
No. I'm saying about an Empire 2 being called Victoria.
Right. No. Yeah.
But yeah.
Confused. I'm confused by it all. I really am.
Well, that was my tweet about 3K. My initial tweet was just like, what's this 3K2 going to be? Is it going to be? It's surely got to be a Saga game because otherwise sagas make no sense anymore because they killed off Fall of the Samurai being its own standalone game
now.
and they applied the Saga title to that. But I mean, the confusing thing is, people still go, well, shouldn't Attila be a saga for Rome 2, and shouldn't Napoleon be a saga for Empire? And they've not gone retroactively back to those and applied that to it, even though they follow exactly the same description of what they've laid out. But the whole saga branding is confusing as it is anyway.
The reputation for saga titles isn't being great because the two that have actually been saga titles from the get-go, Britannia and
that's why they stitched it onto Fall of the Samurai, isn't it? Because they had this a poster child of a good standalone expansion. Oh, we'll call that a saga, because then people will actually finally know what we mean by a saga, not these two that we have released that were bad
and they've failed. Yeah,
yeah, we'll have a good one. But then it's like, are 3K games going to be? Is it going to be Three Kingdoms 2? We finally get to the Three Kingdoms, or is it going to be a Three Kingdoms saga, Total War Saga, Three Kingdoms? What is it? Or are we going to have? It's a standalone expansion, but it's not. But they have said it's not going to connect to the first game, so it's not like Warhammer where we have this interconnecting trilogy. So
it wasn't good.
That's what pissed people off as well. If you bought all the DLC for the first 3K game, whatever they continue to do in this universe of 3K games now, none of them are going to stitch together. None of it's not going to come together and give you any broad experience across all of them.
It wasn't
Which
good.
Makes no sense.
They changed the title of the change the title of the video, didn't they? When they released the update for 3K. Yeah, because
it was the future of Three Kingdoms. They didn't talk about the future of Three Kingdoms. They just talked that they were killing it. So it was now moving on from 3K. It's like kind of trying to address like a bad breakup, isn't it? It's just like, it wasn't. No, yeah, it was. Oh, you didn't dump me. We moved on.
They've changed it to moving on from.
Yeah, they've changed it. They've changed it to from the future of Three Kingdoms to moving on.
After 2 years and 7 DLC releases, we're now looking at the future of Three Kingdoms. This is just a jumbled marketing mess.
It is. The first bit's like, didn't we do great with this game? Which is never having any more support or DLC.
They added in a couple of random stats just to say, 8 million trebuchets have been fired or something.
It feels like the start of that was filmed for the announcement of the next DLC plan and support. And then they went, cut that and go, and we're very sorry to say we've broken up and we're killing it. It's just such a disconnected statement, which is why so many. And the thing is, CA have been bad communicating for years and years. They've been.
I don't think they knew.
They've managed to botch up what should be fairly straightforward communications about various releases across the years. DLC. I mean, Rome 2 is the mother of all
the memes.
Just where's that Siege of Carthage? Where's the I don't understand how such a large studio now that must have multiple broad teams working on marketing and community outreach and PR can't form a clear statement on the future of their titles.
Yeah, I don't think they actually knew. I don't think they actually knew that it would go this wrong when they were announcing this video. I don't think they actually realised they were going to get this backlash. I think they weren't aware.
It does seem very out of touch, doesn't it, with just what people's expectations. I mean, it's why they've said they've not been doing these what the team's doing anymore, because they don't want to promise certain things, such as northern expansions and things like that, and then have to backtrack or say things have changed, which understandably development schedules changed, plans change, things happen.
Spaghetti happens.
Is that what you got?
Sorry, yeah. Yeah.
You gonna give us any? You gonna share?
Beautiful. Pasta.
Lovely.
Spaghetti.
Is that a massive dollop of cheese on top?
Absolutely.
I think I might be becoming lactose intolerant.
Oh no.
And it sucks. I don't know. I'm not convinced. I'm doing like a food elimination diet at the moment to try and figure out why my bowels are just like have gone to shit.
It wouldn't be a Warcast. It would literally.
It would be. We managed 44 minutes before.
We've been talking about Three Kingdoms for 44 minutes.
Yeah.
God, that was longer than the development time of their last DLC.
Hey!
It's longer than they thought.
Sorry. That's not.
It's longer than I thought.
Yeah, we're gone.
Yeah.
It's longer than the thought that went into that announcement video.
Yeah. Sorry, that's a better joke. But
Yeah.
We shouldn't. We're not targeting individuals for.
No. But I think they need to understand there is a very clear frustration with something that the expectation is a clear statement that talks about what they've done, what they achieved with it, and what the future was, and they never touched on what the future was apart. And I mean, they most of the details that we now know about it not being interconnected in the future and stuff came from reading through replies in the comment section they gave to people or on Reddit that their team had to then go in and supply.
At the end of the day, it was poorly handled, and it should have been handled with much more care, knowing the situation that is out there in the community.
They should have actually maybe had a plan of what they're actually working on next 3K wise before deciding to kill the previous one and announce what they killed. But by making a video that's meant to talk about what's coming next, that doesn't. It's just. You know, I'm not. It was a thing. It's like, I'm not angry. I'm disappointed because it's just frustrating because it's the same sort of mistakes communication wise that we've seen them make before. And we just want more information about the games, the series that we are passionate about, both as content creators and as fans of the series, and to just have more confusion announced rather than information is just so frustrating and disappointing.
Yeah,
but they did remaster Rome, or rather, Feral did.
Feral remastered.
Feral. Yeah.
What do we?
And that was marketed strangely.
Was it?
You know, people feel that. Yeah, there was a lot of.
What was confusing about it for people?
It's hard to explain because Malcor's probably the better person to explain it, but he said that a lot of it was just in there straight away with the announcement, and there wasn't much build up to it, and it been basically a few weeks of marketing for it, and it's just stopped, and obviously the game's out. But then I think to myself, there's more into it than that. But it's only a remaster. It isn't a fully fledged game, so you're not going to get much marketing for it. As much, anyway.
No, I agree. Like I enjoyed the Rome remastered. I didn't like. Actually, the thing that Rome remastered has done well is that the Feral team were incredibly open to feedback for, especially the people like. Did you get early access?
Yeah,
Sparta,
yep.
You did.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Yeah, they seemed incredibly receptive to feedback from us who were getting early access, and I think that's why they made like a change to the campaign map, so it wasn't just that bright remastered
the saturation
thing,
and
you could reduce the. Was that due to feedback from all of us, or was it just
I think,
probably the community? Like when they saw the trailers,
I think they said it was from feedback from creators, and they said they were going through the comment section of every single like early access video that went out, and looking for things to. I mean, Feral, from my experience, I had a little bit of early access when they did the port to iPad and iPhone, and they asked me, are there any things that you could see, and I pointed out a few things to them, and they were very receptive to feedback, and I think that to their credit, Feral are very good at responding to feedback from the community.
And mod support is fantastic. They've got modders on board. They had access to the game a couple of weeks before, and they've been talking to them. I think modders have actually signed some embargoes for information that we don't even know about yet that could be coming out. So there's a lot of the Feral are great. I think they're very passionate for the Rome game. I
think they knew they had to be, because this was a lot of people's Total War baby, really, wasn't it? Rome 1 is what got a lot of people into the series. They knew they had to keep the original flair and spirit of it very much alive, and obviously within the confines of it being a remaster, not a brand new game. Plus it's 16 years old. There's only, like you say, my expectations are always sort of tempered by the fact that I believe there's only so much they can do to code that old. They're not going to completely rewrite it. They're only going to do what's
true, but I feel that they could have at least like the pathfinding with the AI in Sieges is just
dreadful,
atrocious. It's terrible. So I feel
the
like
higher the unit size you go, it's worse.
Yeah, and they did enable like a even larger unit size.
Yeah,
with the warning of like this probably won't work properly. It's like, well, could you maybe please make it work properly, please?
Because
like,
yeah,
I think it comes down to that they probably can't make it work.
True. Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not. It shouldn't be a fair excuse. Like there should be. I think some further improvement to AI and pathfinding. I don't know. Like, do you guys feel that you remember the original game not being as bad? Pathfinding AI.
It was rose tinted glasses. I was 20 years old at the time. I couldn't spell my name at that point, so it's. No, but seriously, no. That long ago, you're going to forget things, aren't you? You're going to look at games with a different idea than you would do now.
Something else that really bugged me with the AI with Rome Remastered, they've definitely changed this bit, is that the AI will just retreat.
Yes, it
like
withdraws
you'll
all the
load
time.
into the battle and they withdraw all the time. It's like, fuck me. Like, just let me fight this feckin' battle.
You take out 3 of their units and they go, you know what? I mean, they do the smart thing, though. They do the smart thing, though. They go, we're outnumbered now. You've taken out some of our best troops. We're going to go home. But no, to be stupid. Stay, fight, die. Yeah. But they're actually, I don't know if it is intelligence or just feigned stupidity or a mix of both, Maybe that's part of my frustration with the Alexander campaign. I kill maybe 5 Persian units and then the other 15 go, you know what? We're gonna retreat and attack you again next turn.
Yeah.
Sort of.
I don't think Medieval 2 Remaster's in the pipeline. I know loads of people think it is, but I don't think it is.
Melkor thinks it is, doesn't he?
Oh, he absolutely does, yeah.
It's the only other Total War game they can ever remaster, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know what? We forgot to have a guest this time again.
Oh, crap. I booked him a bus and everything. Ah.
But yeah, for me, I think Rome Remastered is just a way for me to be able to play a game that I loved growing up in 60 FPS on a modern system. So
that should be the tagline. That should be the tagline. Yeah. Seriously.
No, that's what it should be. I think people wanted more from it. People wanted a whole revamped setup with Rome Remastered. I think you're not getting that. It's just a remastered, updated version of
the main thing is, for a lot of people that were struggling to run it on Windows 10 modern systems, here's a compatible version of that game you loved, pretty much intact, besides a pretty substantial UI overhaul.
The UI has been reworked to almost a mobile-ish.
People don't like the UI.
And it's, I mean, really, we shouldn't be surprised because it's Feral that have done the mobile ports. So they probably utilized a lot of that. But I don't know about you guys. I hate that. I don't actually mind the vast majority of the UI. The one bit that really bugs me is the far right-hand side when you construct or recruit something, because all the columns are out of sync with the ones below it, and it seems like it's adding so much extra on that right-hand side. There must have been a better way. I feel like the original way of doing it was better.
The post-battle results, you get this massive gap between your commanders, and it's just a waste of space. Because if you press plus, you go into another screen anyway.
It's weird because in some ways, Feral have been really efficient at minimizing UI elements taking up lots of screens, and then in others, it's just like, let's make this across the whole screen. I'm like, why? There's such a disconnect in some of it.
Tiny building icons, and it's just what am I building here?
Yeah. But at least there's UI scaling. Woo! I love it when a game has UI scaling. I love it.
Yeah.
I play at all sorts of janky resolutions for recording and streaming, and just having that flexibility to it. I mean, the fact that you can turn on and off most of the features as well, I think it's good that you can if you want to play the classic experience with updated UI. I mean, I think more people would be happy if there was a toggle for the UI, to be fair, but I think that would break what they've done with it, basically. They had to do it to get it working for them to do this, I think. But, yeah, it's, at the end of the day, as you say, it's about being able to play that 16-year-old game that you loved, that for many introduced you to the Total War series. It's about being able to replay that and you know, maybe teach your children the strategies that led you to conquer Rome and stuff like that.
Yeah, and to see the beautiful urban cohort and
that city view.
City view.
I mean, this is going to be unpopular. I never get the hype about the city. What's the point? You can't do anything. It's not like you can go in and choose building slots or stuff, or you can click on the person.
It's just seeing how your city evolves over time. You know, it's just a little feature that was added, which is just a nice little.
It doesn't do anything.
Nice little ditty. I liked it.
Yeah, because you think, also you go into it and go, right, okay, this is what my city looks like now. So if I get attacked, which could be coming in the next couple of turns, I can just try and plan things out more. But it draws me in. It draws me in as a I want to see my Spartan civilian doing his lap round the gymnasia, having a bit of
walking
a run.
into the same tree.
Speaking of Spartan, I would love it if they made a remaster or even a new Spartan Total Warrior or the Viking Battle for Asgard. I really enjoyed those. I know they weren't the best games ever, but they were still enjoyable. Sorry, this is going to be another edit because I need to go take a dump. Sorry.
It's coming through.
You were just saying Spartan Total Warrior, and then you said I've got to go for a shit. So I don't need to say the Spartan Total Warrior bit again.
I am fine. No, I really enjoyed those games when they came out. That was really fun.
I never played them. I watched some videos on them, but I never played them.
On the PlayStation, I had Spartan Total Warrior.
When did they come out?
Spartan Total Warrior came out in 2004. Asgard came out in 2008. Yeah, 2008.
So the first one was after Rome 1 and the second one was after Medieval 2.
Oh. And then the Windows version for Vikings came out in 2012. So it's just a console one, and then a few years later they were just like, let's release it. I wonder if you can still buy it on Steam.
That's one for the old stream, maybe.
Yeah.
Spartan Total Warrior.
Viking Battle for Asgard. It's still available, but
we've got a big hole in our Total War schedules now that 3K is dead, so we might as well start playing Total Warrior, really.
How have you found the historical accuracy of Rise? I mean, it's not
oh, that's not accurate in any way, shape, or form.
The D-Day landings are phenomenal.
Yeah. Saving Private Ryan.
D-Daying Dover. Oh, why? Just burn it to the ground. Salt the earth of Dover.
Salt the earth of Dover.
Isn't that a massive sort of like mechanic gate thing that comes with chains across the beach or something? What the hell? Jesus Christ.
They certainly took some historical liberties.
Liberties, yeah, I think yes. Yeah.
Is that what they were doing with Troy as well?
I think so.
Well, at least Rise went with it and kept with it.
yeah.
Went full hog with it. So Troy, that's the problem. Troy didn't. I don't know. We'll try and do this, but it doesn't know. It's like making a big man. It's like making Lord of the Rings Total War and then having the Balrog as a big giant man.
Oh yeah, it's just a guy with a red cape.
Yeah.
And some horns stuck
some
on.
Horns on.
This is what we think the truth behind the mythology might have been of the Balrog. It was a guy in a red cloak with some horns. All right, explain to me, Gandalf. Come on.
He bought them for $4.99 from a charity costume shop.
Well, and Gandalf was just the village loon.
Yeah.
I've got spells, Frodo. Come here, little hobbits.
A stoned old man. That's what he was.
Yeah. Oh dear.
But if we talking about other, I guess, like strategy developers, has Slytherin released anything of note recently?
Battle Sector, Warhammer 40k.
Is that out?
Is it out or is it the preview I've played of that? I think it was the preview I played. I don't know if it's out yet. It's coming soon.
Oh,
soon. TM.
Okay.
There was a DLC for Fields of Glory, wasn't there, as well?
Yeah, for Medieval Reconquista. Adds if you enjoyed the medieval one. It's more campaigns, basically more units, different factions, historical scenarios to follow through with. Which was good from what I played. Just wish you had real-time multiplayer with that game. It'd be vastly improved. Victoria 3 got announced after how many years?
I think Victoria 2 was in 2010, so yeah.
Have you ever played Victoria?
I played Victoria 2 a couple of times, but I didn't really didn't really get it.
What is it? Is it like Europa Universalis meets Hearts of Iron? Kind of.
No.
Or
you control a nation, and then you control like the economy, and then there are elections. I don't know how to describe it. I don't know. It is. I don't know. It's just Victoria.
Victorian
I don't
Grand
know.
Strat. Yeah.
Yeah, Victorian grand strategy game. I don't know. I hope 3 is more accessible because I don't know. I'm lost with Victoria 2.
Yeah. I mean, I've never played any of the Victoria series, but I'll give it a go. That's what I said about Imperator Rome, and that turned out well. Yeah, let's hope Vicky 3 is better.
Vicky 3.
Vicky 3, yeah.
How demeaning.
Well, I mean, as said before, like CK3, I think was one of their best launches they've done. So if they could apply that strategy, mentality, whatever magic juice the team did with that for a solid release to Vicky 3, then yeah, I'll be up for that. Just hope it's not as shallow as Imperator was. Just bounce off it.
I don't think it will be.
I mean, it sounds already like it's got lots of depth just with economic management and all that.
That's what Victoria is more about. Yeah, economic management and stuff.
Either of you two going to be watching E3 next week?
Is that next week? That's probably the answer then, isn't it?
I'm sure I'll just see
on the highlights of the year. I love watching E3. Brilliant. Even though it is digital only this year.
Yeah, I'll probably just wait for all the emails to come through to my press account to just see what's been announced and stuff like that. But I don't know about you guys. I always lose track of what's coming out basically until it's nearly on top of me. With releases, I mean, there'll be one or two that I just about managed to keep track of. But then someone will be like, "Oh, did you hear about this?" And I'll be like, "Oh, why? Yeah, why didn't I remember that one?"
I feel Twitter's got better for me on that because I follow Eurogamer and PC Gamer now, and so I'm always
get all the announcements and stuff.
See all the announcements now, even like when it comes to tech, the TI's coming out. That was all through Twitter. So yeah. Get
your new GPU in by 2024. What a mess.
So what is causing the shortage? Is it just it's chips? So it's not the miners shortage anymore. Silicon shortage. Where'd you get silicon from?
Gonna start mining some silicon. I've got silicon. Want to see these? Yeah, silicon chip shortage. Which was all like the Chinese manufacturers, I think, that just obviously with the pandemic. You should probably strip that PS5 for your silicon. Actually, it's probably worth quite a bit. That when everyone was stripping copper off your house for selling that, wasn't it?
He's got like gold dust, hasn't he? I only got this through the scheme at Gemma Works at the NHS.
Oh, what? So you get it through them?
Yeah, I got it through salary sacrifice. They had like the had a stock of them last week, 1,500 of them, and you just apply through your NHS scheme, and they obviously do a salary sacrifice each month. So Gemma did it for me, so I was very happy about that one.
Lucky boy.
You could, yeah. It's a good way of doing it because I don't think I could have got one either way else. So
yeah, anything consoles, GPUs, can't. You just gotta
3K
order one in queue.
Yeah.
Or 3K abandon all hope.
So China produces about 2/3 of global silicon production.
Yeah.
Other major producers are Russia, Norway, and the United States. Wow.
I think I
didn't realise that.
This pandemic's been a little bit of a problem, hasn't it? I think.
Yeah.
They've also now told that there's a first case of someone contracting bird flu in China that's happened.
Oh.
So, yeah.
And here we fucking
go again. Oh well.
Yeah.
I don't think apparently it's not as transmissible apparently.
I got my first jab booked in for 2 weeks time.
Oh, I had mine.
I've had mine too.
Finally managed to find one that wasn't
5G?
in London.
Everyone said that. I thought it was 5G. What's that mean?
It's just a meme.
Oh, if you put your phone to where you got it injected, you'll get great signal.
Okay.
But check because you've probably been signed up to a very expensive data plan with it.
As I say, I said to my mum and dad, which batch you have? I had Streamlabs, and they bought the
Streamlabs.
Oh, is that right? Okay. I obviously let them know in the end, but yeah, they bought it. They thought, oh, right, okay, what's this one? What's this batch?
No,
I had Pfizer.
Yeah, Pfizer for me as well.
Guessing I'll have it because
I had an injection, came out, and carried on with my day.
Yeah.
And,
I found after about an hour my arm, like, it was difficult to lift my arm, and I was feeling very fatigued all day. But
yeah, it took about
to Gemma
3 days for me to find a vaccine centre that wasn't central London. I was just like, I don't want to travel to London to get this. Wow. Thanks. Just had to keep refreshing like every couple of hours and just log back in.
Essentially, I ain't got time to be ill, so I said, right, get it, and then let's just get on with it.
Yeah.
And thankfully, it was all right.
Yeah, get my first one then, and then the next one in September, I think. Unless they end up bringing it forward or
mine's August, I think.
Yeah.
Thank you for watching. Goodbye.
Is that it?
Have we got? We've done Vicky. We've chatted. We've only talked a little bit about.
We spoke about Three Kingdoms a lot. I don't know if there's been any other updates or what else have you guys been playing? Just
lots of CK3 and Valhalla, really. Valhalla's got the new DLC, the Wrath of the Druids one.
Are you gonna do Red Dead after Assassin's Creed?
I'm thinking. Part of me is also holding out for the supposed Witcher 3 like big PC update that they're doing. I think they're going to add in a lot more HD or 4K textures and ray tracing bits and pieces and other performance improvements and other quality of life changes.
Sort Cyberpunk out first.
I'm so glad I refunded that. Christ. Like I said originally I was refunding that so that I'd come back and I'd play it. I've got no interest in playing it now. It's so dead to me. It's just gone. Like, the hype around it is just
a meme.
What a wonderfully overhyped disappointment that was.
Well, yeah, it made me laugh because the marketing was just appalling. You talk about Rome Remastered and things like that. That was appalling marketing.
Oh, you talking about the marketing actually? Did you guys watch the Phil Wang series that they did to promote it? I feel like it's such a. I mean, I quite enjoyed it, but it felt like such a random marketing thing.
Yeah, and how much money was put into that? You think?
Yeah, it's just like
I watched a few seconds of it, and then I feel like, no, it's not for me. I just don't know who Phil Wang is.
He's a comedian
I'm not aware of.
Yeah, it's just such a random.
That's what thing that Malco was talking about, was the fact that things like that were invested so into when that wouldn't have been.
But the thing is, I mean, people have sort of said before, like the whole marketing budget they get is completely like detached from like game development. It's not a case of them going, oh, they could have given that marketing budget. They've taken that away from game. It was never from the game dev. It's like that's how business works. Like product funding is totally separate from the marketing spend on it, and it's not oh, you could have had this or this. They're two separate things. And obviously they felt that, you know, they wanted to do a big, well, it makes sense that they would want to do a big marketing push on a remaster of their potentially best-selling original classic Total War. It just feels like a bit of a random thing to do. It's very British though, because it's just like a lot of fourth wall talk to the director and be like, yeah, no, we can't afford that, mate.
Hmm.
Here, have a toy sword. But yeah,
when on the Cyberpunk thing though, the amount of money that would have been hyped into, knowing full well the game was in an absolute shit show. That's the thing, isn't it?
Communication is key, people. You need to do it some more and do it better.
I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of stigma around games nowadays. People always approach games now with a very much a sort of half glass kind of approach now. People always seem to look at games and with quite hesitant opinions nowadays and think, oh God, is this going to be all right? Is it going to be good? Because I think there's a stigma.
It's because it's just been the experience that most people have had so many times, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It's
like, ow.
The classic days of a DLC coming out on disc and it being relatively polished is gone. I think it's.
What's a disc?
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like there's a definite stigma around games nowadays that you always.
Well, I think it's just, to say we're so used to getting unfinished.
Yeah, we are.
At launch.
It's just a mess. It's just a.
And I mean,
boring, isn't it?
The kind of live service plan that a lot of developers now do, where they add in additional content and features with DLC across 2 to 4 years or longer for their game's development, and that means that it lasts longer, they make more money. It's kind of almost in their interest to potentially not make particularly complex launch features, because they can add those in as additional content, which keeps the whole thing going. And I guess the balance is doing that to a point where it's not detrimental to the overall quality of the released product, and actually making the content feel like purely additional extra content rather than it feeling like cut content that should have been in there from the start to support the core features. And a lot of developers still fail to get that balance anywhere close to right. Disappointing times. Opened any more Pokemon packs lately? Had any good pulls?
No, I had a spending ban. Well, I implemented a spending ban on myself, so I didn't. It was getting a bit out of control, so I just was like, you know what, I'm not gonna spend any more money on this stuff, and then just cut it off. Like, I'll get a booster box of the new set when it releases, but that's about it. I've kind of I don't really like how you have to buy everything above the recommended retail price in order to get the stuff. I just don't really want to support scalpers.
No.
And also, it was just I was buying way too much, and it's gambling, and I have a problem with tempering my mind sometimes when it comes to stuff like that. So if I get a bit hooked.
If Magic the Gathering hadn't released Arena, which is the whole card game but free basically, I found tubs and tubs and tubs of cards that I've not touched in 4 or 5 years the other day when I was having a clear out, and probably some of the stuff I could sell for probably reasonable amounts of money. I know why I stopped was because I was buying every single. You go out when we could go out for the day in town and shop, which you can sort of just about start doing again now. I go past the comic book shop and I'd pop in. I'd be like, should I buy a booster? You can't just buy one booster though. So I was like, I'd work it out in my head the amount. I'll buy 6 boosters. Yeah, 6 boosters. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Then open all them, maybe while walking around town, and I didn't quite get as many rares. I'll just buy 6 more on the way back. It's like, I should stop doing that. Or once I went halves with a friend on buying the actual full booster box.
Booster box, yeah.
I just bought the whole thing. I went, can we buy the whole thing? He's like, yeah, it's like 80 quid or whatever, but yeah, and I was like, yes. And we just spent the whole afternoon going opening them all up, and it was great fun. I had fun. I don't actually regret spending the money on that for the enjoyment. But if I'd kept doing that, I would definitely not have had the deposit saved up for Barday next time.
I get a bit out of control with it. I lose my self-control when I'm just like, I must get more mythics,
That's the one good thing about Arena, is that I've been playing it now for 2 years, and it's exactly the same as the physical game, just purely digital. All the cards, the rules all work the same. You can spend real money to buy packs, but you get so many free gems and free packs by just playing games. I've not had to put a single penny into it, and I must have saved thousands by now. And I'm now just the only time I'll maybe buy cards is if I might get sent some boosters or something like that. Yeah. I might buy a few more to complement it, but then that's a dangerous slippery slope, because I'm like, I'll just buy 3 boosters to 6 boosts, 9. Why have I ordered a full booster box on Amazon again? I should not have access to Prime this easily.
I'd cancel my Prime.
Oh yeah, I probably should, but I buy everything on. I really should support small independent businesses.
I've been trying to buy more.
It's just so bloody convenient. Local. That's my problem.
It's convenient, but I guess I guess I have more. I guess I have more time. I don't have a baby on the way. I don't have I don't know. All I have is I've been taking a lot more for a healthy work life balance. So I have more free time now. So I'll just walk to the shops and then try and buy what I can there. And if I can't find what I want, Like I tried to get an expansion for Star Wars Rebellion, the board game.
Oh, right,
I tried to get the expansion from my local comic book store, and I tried to get like a Harry Potter expansion for the deck building Harry Potter game. I don't know if
we've
you've played
got
that.
Yeah.
It's very good, right? It's good.
Got the was it the Fantastic Creatures expansion or something like that? Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. The monsters.
Yeah,
that's the
monsters one.
We spent about a week playing through the base game once, like just going through all the years because we kept on getting screwed over by Voldemort on multiple levels and Death Eaters. It is such a good game though. Yeah, it's a really good deck builder.
And after waiting for 3 months from my local comic book store, I was just like, you know what? Sorry, I'm gonna have to buy it on Amazon because you couldn't get it in. So I was like, fine, I'll just buy it on Amazon, get it tomorrow or 2 days in Canada.
I got a cable, ordered it at 9 o'clock in the morning, got it at 5 o'clock that day. That day it came. So
I think we're just in a trial area for where they're doing same day delivery on select items, and I had it the other day.
We've got an Amazon locker thing down at the local petrol
station. I thought you were going to say you got one of those robots.
No,
that brings it to your door.
Yeah, you know, you can't. I know it's horrible supporting it in a way because it's taking it from the local high street. But yeah, ordered 9 o'clock there, 3 o'clock in that day.
I also just hate how companies like Amazon bought Whole Foods, and then Jeff Bezos, richest man in the world, Amazon still cuts all medical benefits for part-time staff in Whole Foods and stuff like that. It's just disgusting. It's profit over people, and I just I don't like supporting it when I can avoid it.
The drivers are exploited as well, I think.
Not being allowed toilet breaks or stuff like that.
Oh yeah, and they're working
like that.
They have to work bank holidays, and
I mean, with that, you can understand why they lob the parcel close to your door and say it's been delivered, don't they?
Awful.
But yeah,
all from an online bookstore.
The problem is now, like even if I wanted to support local, I've probably got to end up driving about 40-50 minutes to actually find a high street that has shops that would sell the stuff I would need, just because so many have closed down.
The high street is dying.
Or I end up going to a big brand store that's probably just as bad as Amazon anyway. And
I think I'm quite lucky. There's lots of independent shops still around in my area, so it's fairly easy for me to go to like I don't know. There's like a little kitchen store nearby, so I wanted to buy a bread tin. So I was like, I could get it on Amazon, or I could just walk 15 minutes and buy it.
You're pro bread tin. Bread goes in bread tin.
Well, that's what the recipe called. That's what the recipe called for. So I just
sorry, a tin to put it. Oh, I was thinking, do you guys keep bread in a bread bin, or do you keep it in the fridge?
No, bread bin. In the fridge.
In the fridge.
In the bread bin.
Right. So I was brought up bread bin. My wife, like we had a bread bin when we first moved in 4 years ago, and it convenently got dented and dinged, and it was gone very quickly. And,
I need someone
the bread,
to put it in
the bread
freezer.
ended up living in the I don't like it in the freezer because just microwave it to different, but then it's soggy. You never get it right, so it now lives in the. It now lives in the fridge, and I've come to that. Well, where are you on eggs? Eggs in fridge or outside? Because again, I came from a family where eggs were outside.
In the fridge.
My mum still keeps her eggs outside, but now eggs live inside. And I was like, I said to my wife when we moved in, I was like, do we need to buy an egg carousel? And she's like, what's an egg carousel? I was like, where's where you put your eggs? She's like, eggs go in the fridge, and I was like, they go in the egg carousel on the countertop.
No, they're in the fridge, but Brad is in the bin, bread bin.
I'd love to. We lost our bread bin. I lost that one. I lost both eggs and bread. Yeah, didn't win either.
God, who wears the trousers?
I'm wearing shorts at the moment, so I lost both those. It's I think
Are we all wearing shorts? You wearing shorts? Rambler, you wearing
shorts? No, not at the moment. Again, I woke. We started this at like 9 a.m. my time, so it's not super hot yet. Maybe it has been. It was like 28, 29 in my area yesterday.
I say you can relate to lofts, can't you, in the UK at this time?
Oh god, yeah.
That was fucking awful last summer.
Shit, yeah.
Never again. I never
want to. I haven't got my fan set up.
I'm glad it's cooled down here today because it was hitting 32 again in here yesterday.
Oh,
And
grim.
I bought a portable air conditioning unit last summer, but it was defective when it arrived. It took about a month for them to eventually realize it was screwed, and I had to send it back, and they gave a full refund. But by the time I sent it, they were like, "We have to give you a full refund because all our other ones are out of stock. We can't offer you anything else." So I just gave. And by the time we'd sort that out, the heat wave had passed, and I didn't need it anymore. But now it's just starting to get hotter, and I'm thinking with
what's that in the corner? In the corner there. That there. Yeah.
Oh, isn't that like a shitty Dyson fan?
Shitty Dyson fan. I'll have you know that's the only thing that's kept these balls dry. That is my lifesaver. That keeps me going through the hot summers. Although after it gets above 30, it only pushes out warm air. So yeah, it is a bit shitty then. But up until 30, it's a godsend, and then it's just you want warm air circulating to you.
Rambler's not a pro supporter of Dyson.
Worth every penny, that one.
You like my dad? My dad hates Dyson.
I've got Dyson Hoover as well.
I won't get into politics, but
but yeah.
Oh yeah, there's stuff. I mean, they make for good vacuums though, and fans.
Well, I don't know, but
I mean, Weatherspoons has cheap beer, but I would avoid frequenting them when I can.
I don't want to get a soggy foot. So yeah, I agree with you there as well.
What's a soggy foot? Oh, just like the ground in the Weatherspoons.
It's sticky and it's wet and it's. I mean,
just a little bit sticky.
Just a bit grim, isn't it? I mean, when I was a student, I was like, "Hey, go to Spoons, woo!" And now I'm just like, just wrecked by looking at one. Yeah, I'm just like,
the floor must have been so.
You come out without your shoes because they'd be stuck in the.
Yeah,
I mean, the owner puts me off a little bit.
Oh yeah, he's terrible.
Cool. He wanted, a firm supporter of Brexit, but now he's like, oh well, we should. We're not getting enough people from over there apply to work for us, so we should have freer. We should have more open immigration.
Yeah.
You fucking moron.
Sorry.
Tim Martin is an absolute. Ugh.
None of people that are now complaining of like, oh, we can't get the labour in that we need, or we can't get the supplies in that we need, or we can't export this. It's like you do realise,
you idiots,
that it's because you severed your main artery basically, and now you wonder why things aren't working well. Funny that, isn't it? Yeah, if you cut off one of your legs, it's going to be more difficult to walk, isn't it?
Yeah.
Anyway, we're getting into dicey territory here.
Yeah, we are. Yeah. And it's 7 o'clock, and I've got things to do. I've got to finish off my room setup.
Right, get cracking then. Right, we'll think about having a guest next time, but
it won't happen. So
it's the future of guests on the Walker. Oh, sorry, moving on from guests on the Walker.
And Lionheart's having a baby soon, so it's.
Oh yeah.
We don't know when there'll be another episode.
We might squeeze one in. It depends when my wife squeezes one out.
Yeah.
But we'll give it a go. We actually maybe should we have the boy as the first guest on?
Can we have him on? Can we see him on street? Yeah, it'd be great. That would. Yeah. That'd be
hang on,
good.
I can show you. I've got a 4D scan picture here.
Oh, I love it.
That's a massive head.
That's his
head
squished up against the placenta. Yeah, he looks a bit like a mutant.
I can see the nose.
Oh, okay.
I hate his foot. We had one, and it does look weird.
Yeah, this one. Yeah. I don't know why my wife asked for this one to be framed, because there was a better one that looked more like a human and less like an alien. But
no,
yeah.
we'll have him on. We'll have him on on the podcast.
Put the nursery cam on.
we'll have to. We'll get the one going. So when we get some big announcements, we'll get one pre-recorded, hopefully, won't we? And then get one out for you.
Yeah.
But,
until then, stay safe.
Stay well.
Yep.
Yep. Have a good one.
Thumbs up. Yeah, there we go.
Toodaloo.
Yeah. Oh.
May your poops be firm and normal.
And double wipe.
Bye.
Toodaloo.